in this video, we're making the part file for part 5 of the wheel. So just so I don't forget to mention it, label your tab. So this one is 5 wheel. Alright, so we're going to create our sketch. This time, instead of being on the front, we're going to use the top. The reason for that is we are going to be revolving this shape right here around to create our object, and it just makes it a little bit easier for our work drawing later on if you use the top for this one. Alright, so now we're going to add in a rectangle going from the center, and we are going to use a center point arc. Alright, make sure the center of your arc is right in the center of this line. So now we're going to add in our dimensions. So this right here is 1 inch. Alright, and our radius for our little arc there is 0.125. Alright, so that gives us kind of our basic shape, but we need to add in one more piece before we can revolve. So from here we're going to add in the height of our new rectangle. That is going to be right here. So that is 0.125. And our distance from this edge to the center is 1/4 inch. And from our last blue line over to the center is 0.75. Alright, let me just move those in case you're looking at the actual number so you can see it. Okay, so we added those components in. So that gives us our basic shape. I know I didn't add in these little fillets here, but we're going to add those in the next step. So what we're going to do now is revolve. Oh, selected everything. There we go. We want to revolve just this kind of like upside down U shape and this half circle. That's all we want to revolve. Then we want to revolve around our center. So that's going to give us our shape. So next thing we're going to do is add in a fillet. So we're going to add in our fillet on these 3. And you can see right now that it is red. If you look at the number right here, this is what is actually on your handout. Another program I was using was a little less picky for this, and it was okay with having it slightly off. I guess it was a rounding error at one point making the handout, and I just never noticed it because the old program was not bothered by it. But you're going to have to change the radius for here to 0.0625. So just a little bit of a rounding error. Alright, so that should work just fine. If you put in 0.063, you will have errors because this program apparently is much pickier. Alright, so going from here, we need to drill a hole into our shape. So what we're going to do is click on this surface. We're going to add in a point right in the center. I know it doesn't look like I did anything, but there is a point there. It's just the origin is kind of covering it up. Alright, so we're going to get out of our sketch, and then we're going to use the hole tool, which... Oh, there we go. So if your tools are all smushed like mine are in your ribbon, if you go to the fillet tool in the drop-down menu, there's where it's located. Alright, so click on our center. So we want this one to be through, and it's a simple. And our diameter for this is right here. So it's 0.28. Alright, so that is our shape so far. So if we go on to the next portion, it's a lot easier to do this if you flip it to the back side just because you have a nice flat canvas to work on. So we're going to create a sketch on our surface. And what we are going to do is add in kind of these little windows right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is add in a line. So I'm going to add in a few of these. Let's see, there we go. Alright. Alright. Don't know why that wouldn't let me use the delete key. Oh well. Alright, so what we're going to do now is use the center point arc to put in 2 arcs. So these where they aren't too important as long as they don't lock into anything else. The reason why we don't want it to lock into anything is because we're still moving some things around. So now I can add in my dimensions. So my angles. So my first angle right here is 15 degrees. My next angle is going to be 30 degrees. Okay, so we can see that we're getting more of our lines turning black, so they're no longer blue. Now we need to add in some of our dimensions for the radius. So for our largest one, that one is 0.63, and our next one, our small one, is 0.37. Alright. So now what I'm going to do is cut just that one portion, and I want to remove just that one portion. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is circular pattern. I want to use the remove. Oh. So new entities, extrude 1. There we go. Okay. So this one you need to go from part pattern to feature pattern. So that's why I wasn't able to click on it the way I was expecting to be able to click on it. So you need to go to the drop down menu, and then you can click on extrude 1 to select it. So our axis of our pattern, we could just use our hole that we cut in. So right here we can see that we have 4, but on our design you know that we have 6. We just need to change that number. And now we have the proper amount, so we can click our green check mark. Alright, we're most of the way there. Okay, now we're going to flip back over to the front, and we're going to put our sketch. This one's a little bit important for where you place it. The only reason why I say that is because it's just going to give you less of a headache later on if you make sure you click on the same one I'm doing. If you do click on something else, that's fine. It's just going to be a little bit more of a pain when you go to extrude. So what you're going to do is click on this surface right here, the one that your cutouts are on, and we're going to be putting in a circle. So I'm going to try to make sure I line mine up with this dotted line, and I'm going to make sure I change the dimension of it right now, because when I move the distance, sometimes it gets stuck in there and then I can't change the diameter after the fact, and it's a little hard to do. So if you do it in this order, it makes it a little bit easier on yourself. So the diameter of this is, if we go to our drawing, oh, right here. So our diameter is 0.25. Alright, and our distance from the center is 0.7. Alright, so if yours is not black and yours is still blue, you're just going to have to do another dimension going from the center over to, well, the center of our wheel, and then make sure that these two are even with each other, so you might have to put a dimension of 0 just to straighten it out. Alright, now we are going to extrude our new circle. Ooh. Might give you a little bit of trouble to click on the next part. Okay, but you want to make sure you get both sections so it extrudes the full circle. So our dimension for this coming out is 1/4 inch. So that would be 0.25. And I'm going to tip it to make sure I'm actually doing what I expect to do. Yes, I am. Okay. So the next thing we need to do from there is add on our next little part. So this is where the linkage arm latches onto. So we need to add in that piece. So sketch on our new circle. It's going to be a little easier from here. So I suggest that you use this tool right here to project the dimensions from the last sketch you had. The reason for that is so then you can get the center directly on the center of your previous circle. So we're going to add that in, make sure our centers match. Add in our diameter, which is right here. Okay, so that would be 0.125. There we go. All right, now we're going to extrude. And this will be 0.125 again. All right, now we have our last little portion. So we're going to create a sketch on our part again. We are going to make sure we project our geometry onto it, put in a point directly on the center, so then we can use it with the hole tool. All right, we're going to use the hole tool, tell it to go to that point. And we want, let's see, a simple hole, but it's going to be blind because it's going to end at a certain point. We want our diameter to be 0.0625 and our depth to be 1/4 inch. Alright, so looking at this, we have a completed wheel. Alright, so good luck.